I get the feeling you don't love it.
Why would you say that?
So tell me why.
How long you got?
I got about 28 minutes.
All right, we're not going to spend 28 on Caleb Love. Maybe 2 years ago he would have deserved 28, but now he deserves about 2. I would say this: Caleb Love on his best. Let's start with this. Michigan is desperate. They're desperate. Not a lot of schools we're gonna take Caleb Love because, again, this past year, Caleb Love didn't guard, didn't shoot a good percentage, couldn't make threes. Okay, he was hard to watch this year. As great as he was for a portion of that run 2 years ago in March and even into April, this year he didn't have as many of those moments. He didn't have many of those moments. And I think a lot of people were worried about bringing in a guy like Caleb Love because he needs the ball in his hands. And it's hard to change somebody after 3 years. It is hard to bring them in and change their habits, whether they're good habits, bad, whatever they are. It's hard to change your habits in 8 months, what you've built up over more than 3 years, but certainly 3 years in college. Well, Juwan Howard has no choice right now. It looks like he's going to lose Hunter Dickinson. He's in the portal. Obviously he lost his son, is going to the NBA. He lost Kobe Buffkin, who's going to the NBA. They have not a whole hell of a lot right now in Ann Arbor. So he was desperate, and desperate times call for desperate measures. And that meant taking a shot on Caleb Love, who is an enigma. I don't want to be harsh on a college kid, but also, is he a college kid anymore when he's making probably more money than I'm making? So I feel like, you know what? He can handle a little bit of criticism at this point in his career. When he's a veteran, he's making money, he's made money. And yeah, he's got to kind of be held accountable, which he really wasn't last year. And also kind of change his ways a little bit and mature his game. And I don't think he did that at all. So, again, do I think this works out for Michigan? Probably not. But I think it's something they had to do.
Yep. So you have Caleb Love, you have Doug McDaniel, you have Namari Burnett, the Alabama transfer who committed. He's coming off a torn ACL. He had a torn ACL 2 years ago. Trey Jackson, who was a talented 6'10" athletic lefty, can make shots coming from Seton Hall. Terrence Williams coming back. Like I don't hate that core for Michigan. Like I don't
really.
I don't.
What do you like about it? What do you like about it? That it's going to be an NIT team again? I mean, I don't understand. What would you like about it?
I think that there are pieces on there where if everything works out, they can make a tournament, right? Let's say if Juwan Howard is able to get Caleb Love to buy in, then and you're able to get Namari Burnett to kind of buy in, and you have shooters, you have guys that can space the floor.
There's a lot of ifs.
I would not bet on them being a great team, but I understand kind of what he's trying to do, right? At this point, you got to take shots. You got to take risks.
Again,
the only thing I'll say is
desperation. It's desperation in Ann Arbor. It's not like this was the plan. This wasn't the plan. This was, oh shit, we got to get somebody in who's proven, who can score. And oh yeah, let's pop in that Duke, that Carolina Duke game in the national semifinals so we can feel good about taking Caleb Love.
Yeah, that's pretty much what you have to do at this point. You mentioned Hunter Dickinson. So you have a list of the top 10 players left in the portal. Hunter Dickinson is probably the number one guy on that list for just about everybody. I would make the argument he is the most accomplished transfer that we have ever seen in college basketball. He's a guy that has been an All-American for 2 years, is a 3-year star at Michigan, has made deep tournament runs, has won stuff in the Big Ten, and now he is in the portal. It's kind of his recruitment in the portal is something where it seems very up in the air. Like if you, there's a lot of links to Georgetown. There's a lot of links to Maryland that has a lot to do with his DMV roots.
Yeah.
I would love to see him at Kansas. I don't know if that's something that is even in the cards for him. So what do you, I guess let's start with this. Yeah.
It's been
What do you?
super
Yeah.
quiet, Rob.
Okay,
I mean, there's
go with
not
that.
a lot of info, and I give him credit because, again, I've been outspoken about the podcast he did, and it's just caused a lot of undue criticism on Hunter, in which he should have been protected, but he wasn't, and I think that hurt him. I think that hurt him a little bit. So I think he's gone kind of rogue here a little bit and gone quiet. He had a Zoom, as I reported, with Kentucky, but I just don't see that happening. I could see a Georgetown situation happening. They've already brought in a couple of good guards. We'll talk about in a bit with Jaden Epps from Illinois, Rowan Brumbaugh from Texas, the Styles kid from Carolina, who is highly touted. He's not a guard, but brought him in as well. He's looking for one more guard to bring in as well. Cooley is. So I think Hunter going home makes a lot of sense. I also think it's going to make a lot of sense how much NIL Hunter gets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the most marketable and probably the most valuable that he's ever going to be. When you are a senior in college and able to go out and maximize it, I think that there's probably someone that he'll probably get 7 figures out of this. You think that's right?
He might have got 7 figures last year. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, yeah, I think, again, when he's hearing the numbers about what some of these guys are making and Oscar making 2-3 million, I'm sure he's saying to himself, well, like, if Oscar's worth that, I'm doing similar things. I didn't have as much around me the last couple of years as Oscar had. But I'm doing similar things, putting up similar numbers. Why shouldn't I be paid, in that realm?
So how is he a game-changing piece for a program, or is he just a guy that's kind of a hired gun? Because I go back and forth on it, right? Like, he hasn't had a ton of success when it comes to like winning in the regular season, when it comes to how good Michigan has been. Like, obviously they made the NIT last year, right? Like, that wasn't a great situation. They had Hunter Dickinson, they had 2 pros, Kobe Buffkin and Jet Howard are both going to be first round picks, and they made the NIT. The year before that, they were an 11 seed. Now they made it to the Sweet 16, but they were still 19-15 with Hunter Dickinson, 2 NBA players, and Musa Diabate and Caleb Houston, right? So what kind of player would a team be getting if they get Hunter Dickinson?
I mean, listen, you got to surround him with the right pieces. You got to get him a point guard. Number one, they didn't really have a point guard through most of last year. Like, Doug McDaniel was good towards the end of the year, but it took a while. They had Jalen Llewellyn the first part of the year, then he got hurt. So I think that's number one. You better get a good point guard. And Hunter's different. He's not a rim protector, right? He's not. You can't switch with him out on perimeter guys. He can't guard those guys. What he can do, and he's shown it on the offensive end, he can step out and make a 3. So I think on the offensive end, he's shown that he's a little bit more versatile than people thought. But defensively, that's the key for me. Offensively, you better have a point guard. And defensively, you better have some other switchable pieces with him that can help him defensively. And maybe a long athletic 4-man who, I know there aren't many of these guys out there, a long athletic 4-man who can step out and shoot it a little bit and also has the ability to be a little bit of a rim protector.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you look at what they had around him as a freshman, right? Franz Wagner, Isaiah Livers, Shawn D. Brown, Eli Brooks, Mike Smith. Yeah, they had a couple playmakers, and they also had 3 wings that you can kind of switch 2 through 4. So I think teams like that make a lot of sense. I would look, if you put him on Kansas and let Bill Self scheme ways to get him seals and get him post touches, and then also use some of the stuff that they use this year where you're able to get, instead of having short rolls like they did with KJ Adams, you get Hunter popping to the 3-point line with some of those same actions. Like, he's going to average 22 and 12 if he goes to Kansas. So Hunter, I know you're listening to this. Adidas got money too. You don't need just checks from the check mark. Okay. You don't need just Nike schools. You will kill it at Kansas.